I had a football coach at one of the universities I worked for, and he would say to his players on the field that you got to go mad. And the president and I were looking at each other like, I don't know what that means, go mad, right? Literally, that's what he's saying. And when I asked him, I said, what does that mean, go mad? He said, I can't tell you. And he wasn't kidding. He really wasn't kidding. Well, ultimately, he told me, and he said, go make a difference on the play. So go mad.
Hello and welcome to the Degrees of Success podcast. I'm your host, Freda Richards, and today we have an incredible guest, Dr. Brian Sandusky. From Vice President to Chief Enrollment Officer and current economic developer, he's had many, many titles. But my favorite, my mentor. Help me welcome Dr. Brian Sandusky. Brian, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure, Freda. It's great to be here.
It's good to have you. I know it was a long drive, but I appreciate you being here.
Well, surprise is not that far.
It's not that far. It is not. So I know not only are we neighbors, but we worked together.
We did.
For 4 years.
Yes, we did.
And now you're my mentor.
And you were fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't have done half the things I've already done and are about to do without your great mentorship. So. Well,
thank you. But it takes great people to make great things happen, and you were fantastic. So.
Thank you, Brian. Well, I want everyone to know who you are, where you came from, and just kind of where this all started, because you're an incredible leader. Yeah. One of my favorite attributes about you is that you're a servant leader. And I want to not only be a servant leader myself, but I do appreciate what it is that I've learned from you in that amount of time and how you give and lead from the front as opposed to pulling from the back. So let's talk about where you learned those things from. So you have a vast background. Tell me more.
So, well, first of all, I appreciate those comments about leadership, because everything rises and falls on leadership. Mm-hmm. So having the right mentors, being the right mentee is really important. So, but I really appreciate that. I've been in higher education for 20 plus years, administration, and also being a faculty member all across the United States, from Michigan, spent a lot of time in Michigan, spent time in Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Arizona, and globally. So love it, love working with people, love working with students. My passion is helping institutions succeed. So from a business perspective, and then also equally important to that is helping the students succeed. And when I categorize institutions, really what I'm meaning is not only from the P&L and the financial side, but also from the people development side. So helping people get to the next level. To me, that's part of servant leadership, as you talked about, and really helping people get to that next level. Absolutely. And I've personally seen you do that. But tell me, if you were to reflect on doing that for anyone else or just a part of your experience, give me an example of what that looks like. A lot of people talk about leadership, but to actually implement that and help people get to the next level, I think it's you have to have emotional intelligence. So you have to understand where people are coming from. And there's different types of leadership style. As you know, you've been part of that. But to me, like I said, everything rises and falls on leadership. So servant leadership is really important, although that's an easy tagline to say, harder to do. So, but it's really helping people get to that next level. Right. And leading out in front, where do we go? Setting the strategy. Communications is really important for a good leader. I learned a lot of that throughout my educational journey myself, particularly at University of Phoenix in my master's degree program. So not only the written communications, but verbal communications, setting the right expectations. I think that's critically important for a leader. Inspecting what you expect as a leader. So if you expect certain things to happen and certain activities to happen, how are you inspecting that? Whether they be quantifiable data or through conversations or however that happens. What would you say, how important is the level of risk in leadership? Because I remember when you and I were working together and then we had an agency at one point and I was telling you, I could do this. Yeah. We're wasting this money. And you said, okay. Yep.
And you trusted me to do that thing. Now, it could have been devastating. I definitely could have failed. And that did not happen. But what's the level of risk that a leader should be willing to take?
I believe leaders have to take calculated risk and learn from the outcomes. So in a continuous learning process, so you take risk, you assess how it went, you take particular actions, corrective actions, or continuous actions. I think taking risks are important, especially in today's climate, right? With technology changes, with the competitive climate in today's world, if you're not growing, that's a problem. So you have to take risk.
Right.
I think, as I mentioned, you have to take calculated risk based on data and based on trust and trusting people and letting them do their jobs, right? And supporting them. I think that's really important.
Absolutely. Clearly, you've learned this after so many years. I imagine a lot with working in these particular institutions. But tell me about your degrees. Tell me about your educational journey as well.
Yeah, as a first generation student, go to school. So I know what it's like for that first generation going to college. So I have my undergraduate degree in business administration with a major in marketing. Later on, as an adult student, I went to University of Phoenix for my Master of Arts in Organizational Management. And then I continued on with North Central University to get my PhD in business administration. To me, it's important. It's part of the journey. I view life as a series of chapters and a series of assignments and that type of thing. I enjoyed it. If you enjoy what you do, that's important.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You have a different perspective than other leaders that I've met before. And I'm wondering, you were adopted. I'm curious, how does that affect, or is there how do you see that in the way in which you move in your everyday life? Because I feel like not necessarily whether you knew your parents or your birth parents or not, and having others to love you and to guide you.
Yeah, great question. I wasn't anticipating that question, but great question. To me, my parents mean everything, right? So your upbringing and I really haven't looked at that past in terms of my birth mother. But my parents was awesome, very supportive, very, as I said, I was the first generation to go to college to make that happen. And they're still in there. We're still in the house that I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So just salt of the, what did they say? Salt of the earth people. The family's important. Taking care of people is important, So, it's been awesome.
Well, you have an incredible family.
Yeah, thank you.
You're an awesome dad. Tell me about your two children. I was going to say your two littles, but they're not that little anymore.
I know, so right?
Crazy.
When time goes by. So, my wife, she's an engineer. She works for the city of Surprise. As do I now, so we can talk about that too. But my family's fantastic. I've got a 21-year-old daughter who's graduating this year from college. She's got a leadership and communications degree. And then I have an 18-year-old son who's graduating from high school in Surprise right now for his high school. So it's, like I said, it's different chapters in life, but they're fantastic. I'm blessed to have that. And blessed to have friends and blessed to have a great group of people that I work with. I think that's really important. People make the difference.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, to me, it's about people and the relationships with people. So that's, it's been great.
So I want to bring to your attention that when you and I met, I remember you called me and I was on vacation.
Yep.
Out of town. And my little one was screaming in the background. I think he was 7 months. Isaac is currently 7, almost 8, which is crazy to think. And he was screaming in the background. Yeah. And you were like, if it's okay with you, I'll talk to you now. And I remember just us having an incredible conversation. And you were like, well, if you come back, I have to make this decision by Monday, but I'd love to meet you in person. And I came back and you showed me the campus and we were looking at dirt.
We were
and
at the time.
flags
That's right.
in the dirt. And we were, this blue flag way out there is going to be a football field. And
Absolutely.
So it's crazy to think is like, we live in the city now and these things are here. But
what year was that, Freda? Do you remember? Was that in 2018, right?
My goodness, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. It was dirt. We didn't have those buildings and
2018. So you were telling me about this dream, and I remember being excited for whoever was going to get this position. Yeah. Because in my mind, like, oh, this isn't for me. Like I'm not good enough to be in this position. But it's so nice to meet him, and this is going to be great in the city that I live in. Yeah. Then you offer me the job, and ever since then, you have been my cheerleader. Yeah. I'm not going to get emotional. I totally make me cry. But you've been my cheerleader from so many aspects in life. And there's been so many times where you have said, no, you need to, like, you have room at the table. In places where I was like, oh, I'll just set you up for success. Like, here's all the information and here's the presentation. And you're like, no, we're going to make room for you at this table. You belong in this room. You belong at this table. Right. As a matter of fact, go to the front of the table and make the presentation. Yep. And having someone in my career to believe in me in that way and to continue to push me, which sometimes, we're fighting words. I'm doing what now?
I remember those days. Freda, I've literally hired hundreds of people throughout the country. And I remember that day. I think it was 2018, 2017. So Ottawa University had a couple hundred students, didn't have the buildings. We were looking for a director of marketing, if you recall, or marketing manager, I think it was at the time. And there was something about your resume. I was like, oh, your background with what you did online, with what you did for websites, with churches and that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And then when I spoke with you on the phone the first time, I just remembered you had a great personality. So again, it's about the people that you work with. There was something about you. So then when we met, I'm like, absolutely, she's the one. And, there was a lot of us, a lot of people that made that happen. But now, today, as you know, under your marketing leadership and a lot of other things too, but now there's $100 million in buildings. Yeah. We went from 0 students in 2017 to over 900 students. Many of them are residential students. $23+ million in tuition revenue. You managed a large marketing budget that not only included the residential campus in Surprise, but in our adult learning programs too, that we had in Phoenix and online in different states. And I just, so as a manager, obviously we inspect what we expect and that type of thing. But I also learned a lot from you. Right? You learned so much in terms of digital strategies, SEM, SEO, and everything else. And you'd go somewhere and you'd take the information back. And I'm like, I don't know that, right? So I learned so much from you. I think that's an aspect of a good leader too, that they can take down and take the shield down and say, you know what, we're all in this together, right? We're going this way. Yes. But you got it. You picked it up. You ran with it. And you did an incredible job. You really took that to the next level.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To your point, it takes a special leader to say, I'm comfortable being dumb in this thing. Like, I trust you to go do it and to educate me, as opposed to some leaders who want to pretend that they understand and know all the things. Yep. And that could cause problems and issues.
Because of what I learned from you. Now, I wouldn't say it's definitely a strength of mine, but I learned so much from you on the digital side. I don't live in that world day to day, but now I got enough information to know what works, what doesn't work, what type of return do we get on things of that nature. Right. So you tested things. You found out what worked, what didn't work. And to me, that, again, it goes back to leadership, yes, but it's also believing in the people that work with you. I think that is important, and helping them get to the next level. People often ask me in my career, what do you like most? And there is a lot of good things in my career. That example was one of them, taking and building something out of the ground in Surprise and making it very cool. So I was with them for 6 years. And there's been other aspects of my career, but I reflect on what's really important is the people. So people like you, and I'm so proud of you, what you've done. And now in your doctoral program too, here at the University of Phoenix is just incredible. I remember that call too. What do I do? How do I do this? So that to me is, at the end of the day, is what's important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's clear based on the way that you lead and just the way that you stay investing in those that you care about. Once you decided, I'm going to help this young lady throughout her career, you were the reason I left.
Yeah.
You were the reason I left your position.
You can tell about character with people, work ethic with people. That's important to me. Trustworthiness. As you know, Freda, I'm not afraid to part ways with people either.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's not just I'll say a kumbaya. Hey, we're all in it together. As a leader, you have to make those tough decisions.
Yes.
And definitely, I've had my share of scar tissue on my body, working with HR, having hired many, many people, and also had to part ways. And sometimes that's the best thing to do.
Right.
But when you got people that work hard, they're ethical, they get it, they get the technology aspect of it too. You want to do everything you can do to help and support and keep them. And to me, you were fantastic. So.
I appreciate that. So walk us a little bit through your career.
Well, thank you. Like I said, 20 years plus in higher education, been with many nonprofit, private, tuition-dependent institutions. So as a business person, I want to help the institution succeed. And many times in higher education right now, it's challenging for higher education, particularly tuition-dependent ones that struggle with enrollment. So enrollment's declining, revenues are declining, they got operational budget issues, those type of things. That's my specialty within enrollment and marketing and that type of thing. But I've done that for 20 plus years, multiple schools. We've had a couple schools that were operating in an operational deficit. Can't do that for long, right? So bad things happen with the budgets when you look at the P&Ls and the financials. And I've had the good fortune to be part of a team that turned that around to an operating surplus. And that's hard. So sometimes you have to make cuts, then you add revenues, you try to get enrollment back up and going. So I enjoy that, but I also, at the end of the day too, being around the campus and working with students, whether they're an adult student or if it's a traditional student. So that's been the majority of my career. I've been all over the country, as I mentioned, managed multiple residential campuses, different states, multiple adult program centers throughout the country, and online and international programs. So did a lot of that. And I got Surprise is a special place, as you know. And I was with a university for 10 years as vice president and chief enrollment officer, and I've been an officer of the institution. And Surprise is going through a change with their small business development program. So I'll transition into that real briefly. We are a growing community, as you know. We have 170,000 plus people, and it's growing like crazy. One of the things that really excites me about my new assignment with the city is to transition their current business incubator program. So somebody that wants to start a business or grow their business, small business folks, they have a 60,000 square foot campus. It used to be the old city hall.
Okay.
And they're transitioning that. For those folks that are not familiar with Surprise, it's kind of it's in Surprise, but we're transitioning that facility. We're going to close down our services there and move closer to City Hall. So our goal is to create an environment where entrepreneurs can come, business owners can come and work on their actual business problems and grow their business, because that's something that I certainly like to do. And I did start a business. I started a consulting business too. So I know what it's like for a business owner. But what we want to do is we want to get students involved in this model. So if you're a business owner, you want to take your program to the next level, your business to the next level, whether it be revenue or I don't know what to do with my business, we're going to build an educational curriculum model for you. It's called our Fitness for Businesses.
Fitness for Business.
So if you go to a gym, right? Yes. If you're new, you go to a gym, you want to get in good shape, and you don't know what to do, right? Your first time in the gym, it's like, hey, I want to get in shape, but I'm kind of fearful.
Right.
So if you have a business idea, you're going to come to our new facility and basically in the heart of the city, and the heart of the city is Surprise. And we're going to have an educational curriculum for you so that you'll be with a mentor, a professional mentor. Then what we want to do is build in the curriculum where an undergraduate student or a graduate student from the school can help you, for example, with your marketing plan.
Wow.
So it's kind of like a three-legged stool. You would have the entrepreneur as one leg. You would have a mentor as a second leg. You would have a student as a third leg. And the idea, because I work in economic development now, which is a new assignment for me. Like I said, it's been incredible workforce experience and economic development experience. But if we can take that model and help the community and help them grow jobs, help entrepreneurs, help business owners to the next level, and equally important to that is also helping the students get involved in that from a workforce development perspective and from a skill set perspective. So we have that partnership, and that's highly unique. We'll be teaching classes at our new programming. We're going to rebrand it. It's almost a startup for us too. So we have a new facility. I'm leading that charge. So that's my new assignment as the project manager for the City of Surprise with this. So to me, that's exciting. Although, most of my experience has been in higher education administration, and I love it. It's my passion. It's what I do. But this is a new assignment. It's different, and I want to help the community. To me, that's we want it to be kind of the West Valley's premier business development hub,
right?
As a new model.
So not only is that exciting for me as a resident, but it's also very exciting, period, to have a city come and support residents and their drive and desire to be business owners, and for it to come from and be managed by someone who was a business owner themselves.
Yep.
And then also just very successful throughout your own career and having a lot of different networking opportunities to set these people up for great success.
Yeah. So we had to go to the council last week, City Surprise Council. They had to prove we have a new lease program or new lease at a brand new facility, be it about 3,500 square foot facility where business owners can go to get that help. And it'll be rebranded. We're going to rebrand it, remarket it. So if you own a business in the City of Surprise, you'll know where to go to for help, whether it be licensing, whether it be, I just don't know what to do with my business. Take it to the next level. We're looking at gym memberships, like, if you have a gym membership, but this will be a membership for businesses where we can involve the student, the mentor, and really help them make those decisions and help them with their business problems.
And as they advance through their membership.
Yeah. Well, the whole idea is to grow jobs. So it's a workforce development initiative as well for the city. So if you think about it from the student's perspective, if you're a marketing student,
right,
what better experience to work on an actual marketing problem for a small business owner as part of the curriculum.
And that's on your resume.
Yeah. So we're putting that together. And so that's neat to me. When I was approached to consider that, I thought it was as a fun next step in my career path. It's like, okay, so if I can gain the economic development experience and work with the university, the community, the City of Surprise to make this happen and have a large impact for the community, that's what we wanted to do. So it's been a lot of fun. And we have to lead the transition. We have got business owners at our current facility that, we have to close that facility. It's 60-some thousand square feet. There's 25 or so business owners in there. They have to find new location because our new model is going to be more of an educational model. So we have to lead that, so we have to manage that. And it gets back to leadership. It's the communications, the expectations, those type of things. So I think, and I learned, like I said, a lot of that throughout my, and I remember back at University of Phoenix being in the classrooms in a cohort model.
Right.
And I remember the instructor up in front, and we had to write a lot, right? You had to write a lot. You had to think about, you had to problem solve, and you had to get up in front of class, make a presentation. Those are all skill sets that I think is really important in a leader.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you've had so many different positions, right? So from vice president to chief enrollment advisor, and now the economic development. With your vast educational journey and experience, how do you think that you implement that with all of these different, because even this current project, not only are you removing people from one place, and totally, then you completely change the business model or the value proposition.
Yep, you heard that quite a few from me. Yep,
quite a few times, or the value proposition, and then on top of that, you're now creating a curriculum
Yep.
And it just seems like there's so many spinning plates.
There's a lot of moving parts. And to me, it starts with vision and strategy. So it's not just me in some room, cooking this up somewhere. I think it's important to pull people in when you develop a new strategy. So we have a board of advisors that are entrepreneurs themselves, that care about the community, that are executives, folks from university. So we pull them together and be like, okay, what could this look like? What are the strategies involved? That's important to me. And develop a written plan. I think that's really important in terms of where we're going to go, how we're going to get there. What does that project look like in terms of timeline and implementation? And we're right in the midst of that right now. So like I said, the City Surprise Council just approved our lease on our new facility, which is unusual, and they've been fantastic. And they support the initiative. And we started with the value proposition. What is the value proposition of this program, right? Well, the value proposition is to help the Surprise small business community with support, because it's going to be an investment for the city. And it's, like I said, it's been incredible. So we're right in that middle of that change. And a lot of it, like I said, is communication. So we're going to be basically a startup ourselves. So we're developing the marketing plan, the communication plan, how we're going to open this. We'll do a soft opening, and then in the fall, and then in January, we intend to open it on a full-time basis and communicate it. You've been great, Freda. You and I met before, and you're like, well, what are we going to call this thing, right? And so it'll be Spark Surprise, but the tagline will be Business Development Hub. So people will get it, and they'll know where to go for that help. So, that's important. So for me in my career, it's like, if we can get this up and going and make a difference, I'll share one more quick one. I had a football coach at one of the universities I worked for, and he would say to his players on the field, I'll never forget, I was with the president, and he would say, you got to go mad. And the president and I were looking at each other like, I don't know what that means, go mad, right? Literally, that's what he's saying. And when I asked him, I said, what does that mean, go mad? He said, I can't tell you. And he wasn't kidding. He really wasn't kidding. Well, ultimately, he told me, and he said, go make a difference on the play. So go mad. I see. Get it? Mm-hmm. And so if we can make a difference for the community, start it from nothing to now what it is, like I said, $100 million in buildings, and many students are attending there, and that's my passion, is to get things up and going and make it work, make it successful. That's important.
Tell me about what it looks like to communicate with those that are either that you're working with, whether it be residents or students or your employees, because you bring a sense of self, you bring a sense of you belong here, but then also still understanding and respecting that you're the boss. How do you do differentiate between the two?
It's so funny you asked that question, and I hope I answer it correctly. And a good leader, in my view, has to have the ability and the skill set to speak well to everybody in the organization. And everybody's important. Right. And sometimes you get leaders that miss that, and particularly at the top level. You get so focused on board meetings and financials and, that type of thing. And that's all important, hugely important, right? I get it. But it's also important to talk to folks that make things happen. And so that you learn from them, whether it's the custodial crew, right? I mean, or you have the secretary that's up front. I'll tell you, that person knows probably more than a lot of people. Yes. That old saying is true. So I think, a leader needs to be able to recognize that within an organization, the organizational culture.
The floor is yours. If there's any last thing that you wanted to say to our listeners and viewers, go ahead.
Yeah, Freda. Grateful for the time. Grateful that you invited me to the podcast. It's great to see you again. I'm a proud University of Phoenix graduate, and it had an impact on my career. There's no question. But no, it's like I said, that the world needs leadership right now. Whether it's at your family level or it's running an organization, everybody has that potential. Right. Right? Leadership is not something that you're born with. I view it as an art and a science. There's a science to it, right? But the art is how you do it and how you engage. and the experience that you have. But it's a pleasure seeing you again, and I'm really grateful to be here on the podcast. Love to network. So I do have a LinkedIn, so you can find me on LinkedIn at Brian Sandusky. You can also find me at the City of Surprise. Mm-hmm. So email is Brian, brian.sandusky@surpriseaz.gov. Happy to network, happy to talk to people.
Thank you so much for joining
You're
us.
welcome.
It was just simply a pleasure to have you. As you've heard it here, leadership is a science. It's not for everyone. But if you have a good mentor, or if you'd like to be a mentee, make sure you reach out to Dr. Brian Sandusky, either on LinkedIn or his email. Somehow that brings us to the end of this episode of the Degrees of Success podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I'm your host, Freda Richards, reminding you that your next chapter might just be your best one yet. See you soon.